Hello, hello. This is Ghost Tracks Podcast. I'm Tina, your host, and this is Molly.
Hi, I'm Molly.
We're back.
We're back.
We've eaten. Well, you wouldn't know that this was recorded on the same day, but it was recorded on the same day. I have hair attacking
If you were
me.
watching, like you should.
I don't know. I had a fit change over here. I got
Oh.
my Mothman for President shirt on that I made.
This is true. Had a wardrobe change.
We ate, and then we ate some more,
Mm-hmm.
and then we ate some more,
Mm-hmm.
and
I could probably eat some more too.
And then we doom scrolled.
Yeah. And here we are.
And then we're back. We're going to talk about animal connections for this one. Molly and I are animal people.
We are.
We got lots of animals between the two of us.
We could start a zoo.
We could. That'd
Or
be
a
awesome.
farm. Pretty much.
An animal sanctuary.
Mm-hmm.
We're the only ones that are calm and at peace are the animals, because I wouldn't be. Let's see. I've got 5 dogs, 3 cats, 3 parrots, like 60 chickens, 5 ducks, 2 turkeys. And the rabbits aren't mine, but they live where my birds live, my chickens and stuff. So, I mean, I help them also, and I buy their food and stuff sometimes. So I guess they're kind of like half mine.
Yeah.
I pay bunny support.
Yeah. Can we count the animals that just come onto our land and like don't leave?
God,
Because
if that were the case, the things that eat my birds.
I would have some armadillos.
Armadillos?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Possums.
I didn't know
Possums. We have lots of raccoons, which I think we've scared most of them off by now. And then there's rabbits. Lots of rabbits.
Mhm.
Supposedly we're supposed to have some boar too, according to whoever owned our house before, but I have not seen any.
I saw
They're scary.
a wild boar. That was the craziest thing I'd seen in Louisiana, was a boar roadkill. I was like, the fuckery is happening down here.
Yep, actually on the street I live on, one just ran across the road and I had no idea how big they were.
They're huge.
They're freaking huge. I did not know what was crossing the street. I was like, what was that?
It's a beast.
And my daughter was like, I think it's one of those hog things.
Hog things.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I've got 8 cats, 2 dogs, 10 chickens, 4 ducks. I did have a snake, but I rehomed it during the week that we were out of power because of the tornado.
Mhm.
And my friend was taking great care of her, so I said, here you go.
Merry Christmas.
Yep.
That's yours now.
Yep, and it was around Christmas time too.
Yeah, I forgot your house. Yeah, her house, me over here with all of my issues, her house got hit by a tornado.
In December, and it's still being repaired. Lost my car.
Mhm.
In fact, it was 15 seconds away from knocking the tree onto me. But I heard it coming. I ran the dogs inside, and as soon as I got to the bathroom, lights out, and bye-bye car.
Mhm.
So I spent New Year's in the hotel room with the 2 dogs, and
Mother Nature be Mother Naturing out here these days. Although it's really pretty outside right now. We're in front of our window in actually what will be Minnow's room. She was a few episodes ago. She was here visiting. So this will be her view. She's got a good view.
well, we now we have got popcorn as our ambiance when it was full of towels.
I didn't even notice she put the popcorn back there.
Yep.
We have a popcorn bag.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. Look, this room is a work in progress right now. My son was in this room while my daughter still lived at home because nobody was technically in this room full time. I've just had it done up for Minnow for a bit. And the boys always shared a room, but they're 16 and 17 now, so I let him stay in here for a bit until my daughter was in the process of moving out completely. And then once that happened, he zipped on over there. So
I think it's cute in here.
I love it.
I like the color.
She
It's
picked
peaceful.
the color I mean, I figured it was going to be green anyway, but I did the rest. So I think I did good.
Yeah, it's very boho.
Hmm.
I like it. I like it a lot. Oh,
But we're just gonna kind of, we have some questions that we collected, and we're gonna answer those and kind of just discuss what we feel about animal connections.
yeah.
So,
Our experiences and, maybe things that we've learned online over the
mm,
years.
yep. So what animals are you drawn to?
It'd have to be, I would say cats I have the strongest connection to, but anything with wings.
Wings?
Birds, butterflies.
Mine's definitely cats. I'm a crazy cat lady. I will be the old lady with all the cats that will
Hmm.
eat her body if she dies in the house unattended.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Yep. They'll eat all the fleshy parts. No, I love my cats. I love my dogs. I have a horde of dogs. Um, but I definitely prefer cats to dogs, and I always have. I'm not really sure how I
Well, cats rule and dogs drool.
exactly.
They
We've
do.
always known that. No, I don't. I was just thinking, I don't know how I came to have so many dogs, truthfully, being that I am a cat person. Gathering as many cats as I do, I completely understand that. But knowing that I prefer cats over dogs, I don't know how I ended up with so many dogs.
Yeah, I prefer cats too. Never really was a dog person. And my first dog, Zelda, she kind of just fell into our laps as a puppy. She's a pit cur mix. And honestly, I think she's like the best first dog I could ever have. And then my German Shepherd, that's my husband's fault.
Yep.
He begged for a German Shepherd.
Damn it,
And
Greg.
yep, she's a dodo. Like, honestly, she's special.
Our German Shepherd was too. We had her, and then when my oldest son moved out, I was like, "Here, have an animal."
Hmm.
And so he took Ember. We call her Emmy, and she is a special dog. That one.
Yeah.
She's got about a half a brain cell in there. Um, but damn, she is loyal. She loves him. He did a really good job training her as well. Um, which I was actually surprised about because I don't think he's really ever had any animals. He's adopted, and I don't think they'd ever had animals, truthfully, for him when he was a child. So the fact that he did so well with her, um, was impressive. And
I,
she's a really good dog. So
I feel like animals kind of come into your life like people do. Some
yeah,
stay, and
yeah.
some are here, some are gone. But I don't know. We started off with one cat. It was before I moved down to Louisiana, and Brick was like, "I'm lonely. I want a cat." I'm like, "Can you wait till I get there? Like, I like to be a part of the,
The
you know,
gathering of the feline.
yes, I wanted connection." And he's like, "Well, I already found a cat on Facebook." And he sent me a picture of her. She's a black cat. Her name was Celine. And I thought she was so pretty. Okay, all right. So he had her a week before he traveled up to Washington to bring her asses down here. And she was so tiny and wasn't really like eating that much. But I say within a couple of weeks, we started noticing, okay, she's gaining some weight. We're doing our job. And then another week goes by, and my daughter goes, "Look at her nipples."
I was like, they were fattening her up real good.
I was like, okay, that's not normal. So I posted a picture of her online, and I was like, is my cat pregnant? Does she look pregnant to you? And everyone was like, congratulations. Well, yeah, he did not know that she was knocked up when we got her, but she was a rescue off the street, and someone posted her online, and well, we took her to the vet. They counted 4 spines, so we were thinking we are gonna have 4 kittens.
No.
Well, Hurricane Laura hit, and I was here. I was down there for like 1 month. and I got to see Louisiana in all of its glory and hurricanes, and that was scary. We didn't have power for 6 days. Thought we were
I
gonna lose.
remember that.
Yeah.
When you guys first got down there.
Oh yeah. And it was in the 90s. It was
Yeah, you guys were like
hot.
cooking in your house.
Hot. And I remember with the generator, we didn't have it really hooked up to the house. We were running it off of DC power, like plugging things like extension cords in. And then I would have to go out there and fill up the generator with the gas can, and I'm just like melting. But, we just couldn't keep her cool. She would not stay in front of the fan, and we thought, we were going to lose her and the babies. And then 6 days later, the power comes back on, and she gives birth a week later to 6 kittens.
Yep.
6. She had 5 black ones and 1 gray one.
I remember her in her little birthing tent.
Yep. And we decided we were going to only keep 2 of them. We ended up keeping 3 because one had broken its arm falling off the cat tree. And, $800 later, you're our cat. So
Was that Salem that did that?
Shadow. See, Natalia had picked out Salem because he had an old man face, and she always likes the weird-looking cats. And then, of course, we were going to keep Willow, our only gray one. The vet kind of made an oopsie because they said that all the black kittens were boys, and the only gray one was the girl. Well, with the ones that we adopted out, one of them to Brick's friend, and she messaged, she goes, yeah, you know that male cat you gave us? Yeah, it's a female, and it just had babies. So that's how we ended up with our 3rd generation, which would be Ayla. And all of our other cats were fixed, except for Ayla. But, every time she was in heat, I just thought she was kind of funny. And, like, she'd just, some cats are so annoying. Like, I cannot handle when they're in heat and all they're doing is just meowing and howling around the house. But she just got really cute. She was like rolling around on the floor.
She was being a hooker is what she was doing.
She just chilling. Like, I don't know. I thought she was super cute. And so it never bothered me. Plus, like, she wasn't going to get knocked up by our fixed cats.
And then,
funny story. So we were driving in town, and my husband sees this stray kitten on the road, and he goes, yeah, you said you want another cat. He goes, here's your chance. And so we picked ourselves up a little stray kitten, and he was near death. Like, he was pretty emaciated. And so fixed him up back to health, and unfortunately, before we could get him fixed, because he wasn't quite old enough, but he was old enough to make the babies, that's how we ended up with 8 cats, because
more babies.
Ayla had 4 of them. They're so cute, though. They're fixed now.
Yeah.
But we have, what is this? So we have Celine, her 2, plus her grandbaby. That's 3 generations. So we have 4 generations of cats in our house right now. And that's enough. That's it. Done.
All my cats came to me via the streets. Colonel Mustard is our little orange guy. He's our pro biscuit maker. And I was working at a doctor's office. I'm a medical assistant. And I was working at the doctor's office, and he just appeared behind the doctor's office one day while I was at work. And there's no homes over there or anything, so I'm not sure where he came from, and he was the only one out there. There was no other kittens, no mom, no nothing. He was just sitting at the door in the back of the office, and I said, well, he must have smelled the crazy cat lady in here, because here he is. And then I have Toast, and he was found in the Walmart parking lot. And then I have Maggie, and she was found in the streets, in, I think, like Anderson or something, which is like way up north. And my friend, a girl that I know, actually found her, and she had like burrs all up in her hair, and she's a long hair cat, so I mean, she was just matted full of them.
I remember that.
And she was you know, trying to get her into a shelter or rescue or, you know, or somebody to come and get her. And I was like, I'm going to be strong. I am not going to bring another cat home. I will not do it.
How'd that work?
No shelters would take her. No rescues were available to take her in, and nobody like stepped up to take her to help her out. So I was like, I think I waited like a week and just hoped. And then New Year's Day, I was like, fuck it. So I went and brought her home.
You're staying now.
And my heart cat, Panda, actually passed away 7 months prior to that, which is about how old she was when we got her, is what they estimated. She was about 6 to 8 months old, is what they said at the vet. And I got, you know, made sure to check for microchips and all that. And we had posted, the girl had posted her up, and nobody claimed her. So, but when I got her in the car and was bringing her home, obviously she was freaking out because she's from the streets, man. She had never been in a car. And she started crying, and she sounded just like Panda. And then I was crying because she sounded just like Panda. You know, I'm a cat mom. I'm a dog mom. I can tell who's meowing and who's barking and where, you know, and where they're at in the house. And so none of my cats sound the same. I can differentiate them. And to have her meow so closely to what Panda sounded like just broke my heart. But I took it as a sign that my guy, my boy, my baby was just taking care of mom. He was making sure that I had somebody else that loved me the same. And she does, man. I mean, you've seen her.
Yep.
So, like, Mustard's a love bug. He cuddles everybody and everything. And Toast, I'm his favorite too. Like, he loves me. But Panda would literally, like, intertwine himself with me. Like, he would hug my arm, and, like, he would get into bed and get in between my arm and my body and then, like, hold my arm with his paws. And he always slept up on my shoulder or up above my head.
Oh.
And none of my other cats do that, but Maggie does. So I really think that Panda sent her.
Yeah, it healed
or
something
me.
in you.
Yep.
That was like Benny, the cat we found on the street, the papa of our last 4 cats.
Yep.
You know, we've felt Salem vibes with him. You know, my husband and I must have been thinking it at the same time because we said it to each other. And then my son comes in and he's like, it reminds me of Salem. So
yeah, because you guys lost Salem a couple months before you found Benny, right?
Yeah. And that was hard. I mean, that vet had to have known how loved he was, because we showed up there with my daughter, her boyfriend, my son, and my husband and I, and we filled up the waiting room trying to find out what was wrong with him. And unfortunately, you know, his kidneys were shutting down, and we still don't know what happened. You know, multiple vet visits and medicines that weren't working.
Yeah, you guys were fighting for him for a while.
Yeah. And I don't know, I think that was the hardest experience ever. I mean, I held a funeral for him. I had the whole thing, the music playing, and we
did that for Dahlia, our rat.
You did?
I played the bagpipes.
I had
the back for our rat.
God. I had Amazing Grace.
I love it. That was
Bluetooth speaker, and I had a piece of paper of things that I wanted to say. We all did, and then we burned it. And Natalia's boyfriend must have thought we were like really crazy, because he was like, "What's going on here? We're doing all this for a cat."
Luke's chill. He's fine. Yeah. He knows.
Well, he said it was a little over the top, but he understands. And I'm like, well.
Listen, they have a cat now too, and one of these days they're gonna be at that crossroads, and he'll understand.
But see, he was on the fence about getting a cat, but now.
Oh yeah, I could totally see it while I was there earlier. Oh yeah, he was on the floor.
Yep,
playing
exactly.
With her.
Exactly. I came out and he's laying on the floor playing with her, and then he's like, "Hi, baby," talking to her like a little baby. I'm like, she got you.
She's super cute though.
She is. Oh, it was so hard to part with her, and then they wanted, you know, my daughter was nervous about, you know, tearing her away from her siblings, so she tried to talk me into another one. I'm like, mm-mm. I'm
Yeah.
like, you're lucky you're getting her. She was one of our favorites.
Yeah. Any videos you sent of babies, she was usually with you, like
Mm-hmm.
on the daily,
Yep, she
up on
thought
your
she was a,
shoulder,
yep, she
and
thinks she's a parrot. She just posts up there, and that's why I have this Band-Aid burn right here, because she hooked on to me last night.
Mhm.
I got scratches all over me, kittens.
Do you have any animals that you're afraid of?
Used to be dogs. I
Yeah.
used to be afraid of dogs. I never wanted one. I don't know. I just felt like it was hard. It was really hard for me to read them.
Yeah.
And I was always getting charged by dogs when I was a kid. And, one wrapped its leash around my ankle and took off and left me with a pretty nasty rope burn. So I didn't have the greatest experience with them.
Mhm.
I love most animals. Can't really think of an animal in particular. I can think of an insect, and that would probably be bees.
I love
Not the bumblebees.
bees.
Not the
I
bumblebees, but
love
the
bees.
the other bees. I don't know, since I was a kid, I would freak out. They're
Like,
like flying needles coming for me, and
like,
I know you're supposed to stay calm, but I'd be bapping them bitches away.
not me. I'm not. I didn't really like snakes for a while. And then we did have two ball pythons, and they're okay. I can do ball
That's
pythons.
what I had.
Um, the boas and what's the, yeah,
Python?
I think it's just the boa. And it's another really common one that people buy.
Oh, there's the rubber boas, banana.
No, it they usually have them in like the pet stores and stuff.
Mhm.
Either way, they look pissed. Like they got the scary face on. I don't fuck with them. I don't mess with them. I like the cute babies with the little puppet dog face.
Yeah.
So,
And you like something that you can pet.
yeah.
My husband was the one that brought the snake home.
Mhm.
I didn't want a snake because I knew that I was gonna have to be the one taking care of it. And
Mhm.
it's like, when, not that he wouldn't take care of it, but when you bring an animal home and I have that like innate need to, like, I need to give you everything.
Yeah.
I knew I was gonna be over the top and caring for it. But watching him handle the snake, and he's trying to pet it, and he's like kissing it, he's like, and kissing it. I'm like, it's not a cat. I'm like, you don't really pet them. And I said, if you do, you don't want to go, because he's like,
No,
I'm
no
like, no, no, no.
scrubbing it.
You
No
don't
scrubbing
go
it.
against the scales, babe. You gotta rub down. And then I don't know. And then I did some research on it, because one day I was like, do snakes bond with humans? And according to what I found, they don't.
I don't know. I think they have the capacity to. Maybe certain breeds. Because I've seen some ball python videos of them,
Mm-hmm.
like with younger kids specifically. There have been a couple, like there's
Well,
one with a little girl that it wears hats and he hangs out and they watch videos together and everything. And that one's really cute. But
no, I read a story about this woman, and she had a python, and she would sleep with it,
no, yeah, I've read that
and
one.
it turned out that it was sizing her up. And she's like, well, I was getting bigger and fatter and growing up, and then he'd go and lay in bed with her because he was sizing her up.
I feel it.
So I was like, oh, okay. So that kind of like changed my perspective on the snake.
Yeah. I definitely don't do spiders or bugs. I don't do spiders. There was a spider at work last night, and I was like, it's coming for my toes! And I had to pull him up. But it was a wolf spider, and I know that they're good, so I try really, really, really hard to not completely lose my shit when I see one and squish it immediately like I used to. I take a beat, collect myself, all of my personalities collect themselves.
All you bitches better listen to me right now.
Right now, I'm in charge right now. But I usually put them like under a cup and then, put a little piece of paper under there and I relocate them Because it used to be I considered burning my house down.
Hmm.
And there was a time where I mean, this son of a bitch was like this fucking big. I'm not kidding.
Mhm.
This is not an exaggeration, guys. This thing was massive.
Was it a wolfie?
It was a wolf spider, and it was huge, and it was downstairs. It's in this house. It was downstairs in my pot and pan cabinet, and I was like, no, no. So I went in there with the Kirby vacuum, and I was like,
Not the Kirby.
oh yeah, I got the Kirby after it. But yeah, I don't do that anymore.
Did it have babies on its back?
Mm-mm.
Because the male wolfies carry the babies.
Oh,
Yep. And my husband found one in his shop. I got so mad that he squashed it, and he goes, "Oh yeah, all the babies too." I was like, "You murderer!"
Okay, here's the thing: if that were coming at me, I probably would have killed it.
I mean, some of those fuckers can be, they'll charge at you, but. I mean, I don't want it crawling on me, but I am going to stop and get real close and take a picture of you.
I'm not.
And use my identifier app
I'm
to find
not.
out what
I'm going to take a photo of you from far away and maybe, zoom in real far, and then I'm going to curse your existence to everyone in my text messages. But
no, I'll get pretty close. I think they're misunderstood.
Okay, so next question.
What?
Have you ever dreamt of an animal or had a nightmare of one? Yes.
A nightmare?
Okay, so
snake.
So I was telling Molly earlier, I see eagles a lot. Like a lot. I live in Indiana. I live in a very populated area. We're not too terribly far from Indianapolis. We're not city, but we're definitely not country. And so you would think, and it's a lot of new builds. So there's not a lot of, the big trees and stuff that an eagle would use for nesting out here. In fact, there's not a lot of trees in general because of these stupid HOAs. But I see them almost daily, at least one out where I'm at. And I have friends that live right here in the same neighborhood and travel the same streets.
Mhm.
And several of them are photographers and they are always outside. And she's like, I don't understand how you see them at all, let alone as often as you do, because I never see the eagles. So I see them a lot, and I did have a dream not too long ago, where I was in a field, like just a big open field. I mean, there were trees there, and there were hundreds of eagles surrounding me, and I was calm, like it was a very peaceful dream, but there were hundreds of them around me on the ground and up in the trees and then flying up overhead. I don't recall any like talking. It was just a feeling of, peace and calmness. And then that next day, on my way to work, an eagle flew overhead of my car and then out in front of me for a good 30 seconds or so. And it kind of looked like I was following the eagle. And I was like, that's pretty cool. Like, just had that dream. Then this eagle's out here. And then on my way home that day, same thing, but right up by my house. I work
Is it the bald eagle?
Yeah, they're all bald eagles. I work an hour from home. So the first one was close to where I work at, and then the next one later that evening was at home. Like literally
they're massive too, so they're hard to miss.
Yeah, they're huge, but it was right outside of my neighborhood, probably about a minute, not even, before we got to our neighborhood, and same thing, flew out in front of me, like over top of me and out in front of me. Looked like it was pacing my car, just out in front, and I followed it, and then it cut to the left and it just flew off. But I see them a lot. I don't know why I see them, but they're very prevalent in my life, and I love it because I think they're just a beautiful, beautiful animal, but I love the sounds they make. I think an eagle call is probably one of my favorite.
They're pretty cool. I miss seeing them. Yeah. I used to see them all the time on the freeway in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the nightmare was actually a hawk, which, I mean, I see a lot of hawks too, but I had this dream that a hawk literally took my eyes out. in this dream, and I was like, the fuck was that about?
Maybe it's telling you because hawks, they have precision
Yeah.
vision, and if it's taking your eyes, maybe it's saying,
Blind to
use your eye. Yeah, maybe
blind to a
you're
situation.
blind. You got blinders on.
Girl, don't I know it. Any dreams for you? Probably many, I'd imagine.
I have some pretty weird dreams, but when it comes to animals, I think the main animal I've ever dreamt of continuously are snakes. And most of the time, if they come into my dream, I know that someone's talking about me or betraying me, or I'm going through a big transformation. That's usually when they come in my life, is usually like when something major in my life is about to happen.
We were talking about this earlier. Do you feel like you can communicate with animals? And or like you understand them?
Certain animals, yes. And I think the older that I get and the more respect and understanding I have for animal life and other creatures like that, yes, absolutely. Because I think, I don't know about you, but the older I get, the more I actually want to slow down and really
Mm-hmm.
take things in and process things. So yeah, when it comes to cats, definitely, because when my cats are meowing, I kind of, understand what they're needing.
Yeah. And when Maggie, I was telling you earlier, Maggie, my kitty Maggie, I was getting ready today, and she kept yelling at me when I got out of the shower. And I was like, "What is it that you need right now?" And I bent down. I said, "Do you need loves?" And then she put her front paws up on my legs, and she got up and she put her paw on my face, and then, like rubbed her nose into my face to give me a kiss. And I was like, "Oh my goodness." So I had to give her all the loves, and then she stopped and she was fine. My bird Kiwi makes very specific sounds when she's hungry, like when she wants her dish dealt with. Like if she's done with what is in there and she wants something
Hmm.
else, she makes very
When
specific
she's
sounds.
hangry.
When she's hangry, you know it. And she doesn't speak. She's not a parrot. I mean, she's a conure, so I mean they have the ability to learn words, but she does not know
Mm.
any. Um, but she lets you know when when she needs something. And she also lets you know when you're not fucking listening to her. I have her in her own cage, and then I have a bonded pair of conures that I rescued, and they do not like one another. They are not friends, they are not besties.
Mm.
And I had her on my shoulder one day, and Kiwi never bites, ever. We've had her for years, and she has never bitten anybody, and she was making sounds and kind of moving in a way because I was standing too close to the other bird cage, and they were out of their cage. They were up on top, and I did not listen to her sounds and didn't pay attention. She bit me in my fucking face.
Ouch.
So I learned a hard lesson that day to listen to Kiwi when she is letting me know that something is not okay
Yeah.
with her. Um, but yeah, I think, I mean, I respect my animals, so I know that, like Panda, when Panda was alive, I knew he was done.
Mm.
Like I knew he was ready, and I didn't want to acknowledge that at all. But I am of the mindset of if an animal is ready, the animal is ready, and I'm not going to prolong that,
Yeah.
you know, and they let you know,
Yeah.
again, respecting the animal, right? So Panda, I had noticed that he lost a little bit of weight. Um, but he's an older cat. He's 14. I guess he's not like an older cat, but he was 14, and he had dropped a little bit of weight. Nothing significant, but I did notice it. And then I came home from work one day, and he was up and he was walking and everything, but he started meowing, and it was not a meow
Hmm.
that was normal. And he got up onto the bed and just looked at me, and started meowing again. And I started bawling. I was like, no, like I'm not ready.
And it's so hard when they're in pain and
Yeah.
you just feel so helpless.
Yeah. And I took him to the emergency vet immediately. I called my husband and my husband's like, "Well, if you wait a couple of days or whatever, because he was out of town, he's like, I'll come back and we can take him then." And I'm like, I'm not letting him sit here for a few days. Like, I know that something is wrong. I know that he is not okay. And I can't ignore that for him. Like I owned his mother. He was born in my house. Like I'd had him his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And they depend on you being their people to take care of them. And if they need something, you've got to go through with getting whatever that is done. So
Yeah.
took him to the emergency vet and he had it was liver failure actually. And so I made the decision to euthanize him, and that killed me because,
yeah.
again, and you owned his brother. Molly owned his brother for quite a few years.
Until my dickhead ex.
Yeah, until that douchebag.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took him back years later. But when I moved here to Indiana, I couldn't move because we were flying and I just could not afford and I was not capable of. I was in the middle of a divorce myself and I had the kids and we had a lot of animals up there. So I found, the remainder of our animals really good homes. And I mean, they are still either in those homes, like if they're still alive, like our cat Gizmo is still alive and he is still with that same family and they absolutely adore that cat. And Koala was with that same family until he passed away. We were here for, I think, 3 years. I think he passed away in 2018.
He was a special cat.
Yeah.
Koala was unlike any. I mean, I've had a lot of cats, but
yeah,
he was very special.
But yeah, he lived with them until 2018, and I think he had blood clots, to be completely honest. I think that because you had an issue with that too when you had him. But
I had blood clots, I think.
But
5 years later after I gave him back to you.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so she was absolutely devastated. The lady that had him was just beyond devastated, but she was so nice. She gave me some of his ashes.
But when I had him, I thought something was seriously wrong with him because he was acting weird.
He was crying
his nose was super dry, and I took him to the vet. $500 later, I found out he just had worms. Cat, like worms. $500 to find out you had worms.
Yep.
My God. But cats, they'll let you know when something's wrong with them. And from my understanding with any animals, are that when they know it's their time, they kind of be off by themselves and they hide. And so that's how we knew Salem was nearing the end. Besides the weight loss, and I couldn't get him to eat or anything like that. And then when I couldn't find him, it was actually a dream. I had a dream of him.
Did you?
Yeah. That's actually how I knew, because it was one of those restless dreams where, you feel like you gotta wake up, something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And in my dream, he was hiding and he was telling me that today was his last day. It was kind of like one of those, just that dream, like that, just that feeling of knowing.
Yeah.
Like, today's his last day, I have to find him. And he was under my daughter's bed, and you know how mattresses, sometimes the lining,
yeah,
cats will dig a.
Yep.
He was in the lining. I had to come out of there. And that's when I'm like, we can't wait anymore.
Yeah.
We got to get him and it was a Sunday. So we had to take him to an emergency vet that was open. God.
I think that was something that was special about Panda when he was, at his last day, was that he came to me. He didn't hide. He came to me. and he got up on the bed right in my, like literally right in my face, and then sat with me. And I just knew that he was ready to go. But look at the sky right now.
That's so pretty.
The clouds, the underneath of the clouds are lighting up all pink from the sun going down. It's so pretty.
It's like one of those paintings.
Cotton candy skies.
Do you feel like animals have souls?
Yes, absolutely. I know my stepmom used to say that they did not have souls and they did not have feelings. And I'm like, well, you're like the worst person ever.
My mom said the same thing, and I'm like, it made no sense to me.
Yeah.
You know, that's why like certain things about religion just doesn't rub right with me, because my mom said, and I don't know, I never cross-checked this or anything, but she said the Bible said animals do not have souls. Animals were put on this earth for the benefit of humans. I'm like, that seems really egotistical to me. Take a picture.
I'm so taking a picture of the sky, guys. It's so pretty outside.
It's very pretty.
It was so cloudy and gloomy today, and now it's like kind of brightening up. The clouds are dispersing a little bit, and the sky is putting on a show. But yes, no, I do think that they have feelings, and I do think that they have souls. For so many reasons. I mean,
well, I had that conversation with one of my friends. She's a shaman, and actually, it was recently, and I was, telling her about how conflicted I am. Like, there's some meat I'm having a hard time eating, like meat lately, and she goes, it's because it's got a face. She goes, when it has faces, it's got soul. And I'm like, God, don't tell me that. Like, I'm so conflicted. I like fish, and I like beef. I also like cows, and they're cute, and I just don't want to be one of them. I don't know. How do you make peace with, like,
I'm never passing up a burger, guys. So, and I love cows. Like, I love cows. I will own cows one day. But
well, in India, they're
sacred in India.
They're very sacred. You can't even honk at a cow. If there's a cow blocking the road, they're gonna sit there. They're gonna sit there and they're gonna wait till the cow passes.
We were looking up facts earlier about cats and in Egyptian, if the Egyptian culture, back in the day, if what was it?
If you killed a cat, it was death penalty.
It was death penalty, and I agree with that. I'm okay with that. Yep. I approve that message.
I do too.
Mothman approves that message because Mothman is president.
Off with your head.
Yep. Maybe we were Egyptians in the past life, and that's why we love cats so much.
100%. I know. Yeah. I had some history there.
Yeah.
For sure. I've always been drawn to ancient Egypt.
Me too. When we did all of that in school, I was just absolutely fascinated with it. Like, I read so much on ancient Egyptian.
Yep. It's the only time I paid attention in history class.
Me too.
It was the only time. I don't remember anything about history classes except for when they covered that.
Yep.
Same. And the Renaissance. Like medieval.
Not even. I mean, and I love medieval history, but I definitely was more on the Egyptian side of things.
Yeah. It was so interesting.
Why do you think pets become such powerful emotional anchors?
I think, for me, bring it back to cats, is, when they start purring, I've heard that it's a certain frequency that actually calms you.
Yep.
Because it's a self-soothing thing for them too. Like, I noticed with the kitten when we were bringing the kitten up here, she didn't purr a whole lot back at home, but I would find her randomly purring. And plus, the kittens were 11 weeks. That's plenty of time to separate them. But she was still nursing sometimes on Mama.
Yeah.
And my son even asked me, he goes, when are you going to stop the cats from nursing? I said, in nature, they just figure it out. I'm not going to stop anything. I feel like, Ayla will stop her kittens from nursing on her when she feels like they're ready.
They're going to be 30 years old,
well,
still on the tit.
She would hiss at them and growl at them, and I had to get on Google. I was like, is this now normal? And it is, because that's her way of communicating, like, no, Mama needs a break. Back up.
Yep.
Back up. And our cats are from the Bappa bitch tribe. They will bap you away.
Yep.
They have no problems with that. But when it comes to, emotional anchors, I feel like animals need us just as much as we need them when it comes to comfort.
I think for me, I'm very attached to my animals. Like, my dogs drive me absolutely crazy. But like, my husband's always like, you love them more than me. You give them all this attention. Da 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 da. Those animals have, none of my animals have ever hurt me. They have never caused me pain, emotional or otherwise. They have never intentionally done something to hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I am just very attached. I'm very in tune with my animals. Like, I know people say, oh, they're my fur babies. But they are. They are just like my children. So.
And I think if you are naturally a nurturer.
Yeah.
And also, I like to nurse things back to health. I like to take care of things. I like to fix things. I like to provide comfort and nurturing. And I can do that with animals.
Yep.
Now, there's some animals that they're like, no, I need my space. And you gotta like respect that.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with cats. Cats are one of those creatures that if they don't want to be pet, they're gonna let you know. And you can't force.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes.
Me too.
Sometimes I'm like, no, you're fluffy. Let me pet you. How dare you deny me?
I turn into that a lot, especially with Toast. I don't know, Toast always lets me love him, but nobody else in the house. For the last question, I have to go get an animal. Hold on. For the last question. Sent them all off.
I called it.
Okay.
I knew it was this one.
For the last question, do animals look like their owners? Do we look alike? You're purring.
I would say yes.
Do I look like you?
You're both a little bit ginger.
Do I look like you, handsome? He said, oh, I'm not allowed in this room. What is all this? Purr, purr, purr. Want some kitty ASMR? Go sniff. Yeah. Say hi. Come here. Purr, purr, purr. This is Colonel Mustard. He's the sweetest boy. He's my little ginger boy.
Professional biscuit maker.
He is a professional biscuit maker.
He takes it very seriously.
He does. He has his whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's so loud. All right, Mustard. Are we going to go? Are we going to call this episode? What's that?
You gotta say cut.
Say thanks for listening. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Come here.
What is he doing?
I don't know what he's doing. He's dancing. So you can send us spooky stories or animal encounters that you've had. ghosttrackspodcast@gmail.com. You can like and share and follow. Send us your pet photos. Yes. I want to see them.
Never get tired of the kitty cat
photos. I'll post mine if you post yours.
I'll show you mine if you show me yours.
Well, thank you everybody for being here and for listening. We're gonna go put Mustard back out because if I leave him in here,
He's gonna knock everything off.
he'll knock it all down and he'll eat the plants.
He's already plotting his demise.
This is a plant room, which is why he's not allowed in here. Huh. And I have some poisonous plants in here, so I'm extra cautious for the plant lover
Yeah.
in him. Go say bye. Say bye.
Let me just swipe everything off the desk.
All right. Bye, everybody. Stay creepy.
Bye-bye.